In this video, we're going to talk about loops and we're going to get into ranges a little bit in Python. A loop is exactly what it sounds like. We're going to take some code and we're going to have it repeat so that it gives us an output of multiple things. So let's look at an example of that real quick. So we're going to start off with a for, and we're just going to type this out and then we'll go back and explain it. Alright, so here we have a for I, which is our variable, and then here our string go fly. What it's going to do is for each letter in this string, it's going to print out the letter. So let's run that, see what it looks like. So on this for I is our variable. The loop variable is automatically reassigned for each character in the string go fly. This is an iteration by item, so each individual letter is going to be an item, including the space, and it's going to go left to right. So let's run that. And so for each letter, for G, it printed it out. It came back up. The next letter got assigned to I, which is O. It printed that out on the next line. Then our space, and so forth. If we changed our text and run that, it's going to loop through and continue with our string all the way down. So now we're going to set up a list. And what a list is it's a collection of items that we can assign to a variable. So our variable is going to be planes. And the way we're going to make our list is 2 brackets. And then we're going to add things to our list. So Cessna will be our first one. And we're putting that in quotes because this is going to be a string, a name. And in between our items, we're going to put a comma. So here we have our list of planes, Cessna, Piper, Boeing. And we're going to change our string here. So instead of a string, we're going to put our variable. So same thing we had before, but we have a list this time, and we're going to loop through our list. Each time it loops, I is going to be a new plane. So we'll run that and we see we get our list of planes printed out. Now while we're here talking about lists, let's talk a little bit about indexes and how that works. So what an index is it's a spot on the list. The way Python does this, the first spot in the list is 0, the second spot is 1, and the third spot is 2. So this can be a little bit confusing because we have 3 things in our list. However, the last item, which is Boeing, in our list is going to be index 2 because we count 0 as the first one. So let me print this out just to show you what this looks like. So I'm going to print out a space here just to give us a little space between things. And now on our next line, we're going to print, and inside our print, we're going to call our variable, which is planes, and we're going to tell it what index we want it to print out. So the way we do the index is just like we created our list, we make our brackets, and then we just type the number of the index. So let's start with the first one. We know that that is index 0. So I'm going to type in 0. And we see we still get our list of airplanes because we left this code in here. And it printed out Cessna because that is index 0 of our list. So let's change 0 to 1. And what we should see is Piper replace this Cessna over here at the bottom of the list. And we can do the same thing as 2 with 2, which is our actual third item in the list. And if we go over, so I'm going to put 3, we don't have anything in index 3, we're going to get an error. So now that we've got that, I'm going to add some more lines of code down here. And this is going to be range. We're going to introduce that here. And I just pasted that on here. I'll explain what this all is. So what's going to happen here? We know that this line here will print one time, and then we'll get into this for. And before we had a variable I, which told us that we wanted to do this a specific amount of time, however many places we had in this list. Well, in this for, we're actually going to set that number here in the range. So we want this to go 3 times. So our range is 3. It's going to loop through this 3 times, and then it's going to step out and print this last line. So if we read through this, we know that this should print once. We'll go into here in this for, these both lines, both of these lines should print 3 times. So this one will be first, this one will be second, and then it'll go this one again, this one again, this one again, this one again. After the third time, it'll step out and it'll print this one time. So let's run that. I need to change this back so we don't get an error there. And so we can see, let me go ahead and get rid of this so we can clean up our code and see what's going on. So we can see that first line printed the first time, and then we have 3 sets, 1, 2, 3, and then it stepped out and printed the last one time. So if we change this range to 5, it printed these middle lines 5 times and then stepped out. So the range function took this integer, 5 in this case, as an input and returns a sequence of numbers. So these numbers start at 0, just like our index. So when we have 5, it returns 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. 5 numbers, but it starts at 0, just like our index. So 0 counts as our first number. Alright, while we got this laid out, let's look at one more example here. So in this example, we kind of have a mixture of both of these things that we've done. And we've set up a list of numbers. Our numbers include 1 through 10. We've got a variable that we set up, add equal to 0. We've got our for loop, so for in in numbers. So for each number that we have in our list here, we're going to take our add variable and we're going to assign it to whatever it was to start with plus the next number. So the first time it runs through, it's going to be 1, and then it's going to be 1 plus 2, which is 3. So the next time it runs through, it's going to be 3 plus 3. And then the next time, and so that's 6. So the next time it runs through, it will be 3 plus 4. Or excuse me, 6 plus 4. Then the next, it'll be 6 plus 4. That's 10. So then the next time it runs through, it'll be 10 plus 5. So let's run that, see what we get. And after it runs through all of that, it's going to give us a total of 55.